Have you set a goal and you didn't achieve that goal? Or worse, you set the goal, you achieved the goal, and then you revert back to where you were when you originally set the goal. That's our comfort zone messing with us. That's our comfort zone saying, you can't leave this area, this box that we placed you in. Quite a few years ago, when I was much younger, I wanted more cash. That was like, I didn't want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. I wanted to be able to buy things when I wanted to buy them. So that caused me to work overtime. And that overtime brought that cash in. I was attracting that money to me. But as fast as that money came in, it went out. And I could never understand why my bank account never really increased with the amount of work that I was doing. And that's because as a kid, I was never taught how to treat money, how money works. As a kid, I grew up poor. There was no financial education that was given to me. I kind of had to become an adult and go out and figure it out myself. So as a kid, I was growing up in an environment where, a very loving environment, but an environment where I didn't have the newest toy that my friend had. I didn't always have the newest clothes. We didn't go on vacations. So I always felt like there was something missing, that I wasn't deserving of all of these things that were all around me that my friends had. And that led me to believe, I'm not really that worthy. So I had a very low standard. I set a very low standard on what I was allowed to have. I wasn't allowed to have the biggest, brightest, newest thing. That was a belief that was placed upon me from my childhood. Not on purpose, but that's how it happens. We don't even realize that it's happening. And that's our comfort zone. Our comfort zone is based upon our experiences, especially when we're kids in that 6 to 14, 15 age range. That's where our beliefs really come from. Times when we may not even have memories of how they came about. It's the old adage of the thermometer and the thermostat. I was acting as, when I was building that cash up and that cash was coming in and going right back out, I was acting as the thermometer. The thermometer just takes a read of the temperature in the room, and it reacts to those external forces. Whereas the thermostat sets the standard for what the temperature is going to be in the room. And if the thermostat doesn't like what it sees, it changes. That's right. If the thermostat thinks the room is too cold, it makes the room warmer. If the room is too hot, it won't kick the furnace on and the room won't get hotter. You set the standard of your life. You can become the thermostat. That's what I didn't understand back then. I just thought this is how life was. I had a very low standard. I wasn't deserving of the biggest, best, and newest things out there because I didn't have them growing up. So how do we get past this? Because this is our subconscious. Our subconscious is drawing from files. Those files are our beliefs. That's our comfort zone. So how do we break out of that comfort zone? How do we create a new comfort zone, a new standard? How do we operate as the thermostat and turn the temperature up in the room? How can we do that? You have to understand one critical thing in making this transition, in fighting against your comfort zone. I didn't start this endeavor of fighting against my comfort zone until, I don't know, I was probably 30, 40 years old. So 3-4 decades. How long are you alive? That's how long your subconscious has been playing from these files. So how long has it been for you? Think about that for a second and understand that especially in the beginning, it's an upward battle. But I'm here to tell you that I changed, and you can too. You just have to pay attention. So what are some of the techniques that I use, some of the methods that I used to break out of my comfort zone, to create a new comfort zone? This is the beauty of it. Look behind me. This is why I have, if you look at each sign there, it almost looks like a staircase, right? This is one of the reasons why I have that. Because what's going to happen is you're in a norm right now. You're on one step right now. You're going to break out of that comfort zone, and it's going to feel really, really strange and weird and scary. Going to be a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. But once you break out of that and you go to the next step, it becomes your new normal. It becomes your new comfort zone. And you grew a little bit. And now you're going to break out of that comfort zone the same way. So let's talk about ways that we can break out of our comfort zone. First, we have to rewrite the files that our subconscious is pulling from. How do we rewrite those files? My past isn't indicative of my future. My past isn't indicative of my future. I used to believe that because I didn't have any money growing up, that I wasn't deserving of money or I couldn't get money. I invested in the stock market. I purchased stocks, I invested in the stock market, and I lost my shirt. Gone. Just about everything. I lost like 75, 80% of my investment. Does that mean that now, right now, I can't invest in the stock market? No. Your past isn't indicative of your future. What it does mean is that I should learn how to invest in the stock market before I invest in the stock market. That's the school of hard knocks. I made a foolish decision back then. Let's not make a foolish decision now. And don't let that stop you. Don't let the fear of making a foolish decision stop you. Educate yourself. You see, I didn't know how money worked. So I didn't know that it was infinite. People think money's finite. If money's finite, then somebody has to lose for me to win. But that's not how it is. If that was the case, then when a company went public, all of that value wouldn't be there. But it's there. Right? You want to create cash flow? Build up your skill set. Your skill set then takes you to a new level, and that new level can be brought out to the market. I read a story once about a guy back in the Great Depression. Everybody was walking around saying, "Hey, do you need any help? I'll do anything you need." And then there was this one guy, because all those guys were getting turned down, right? Like if you walk in and you walk into a business, this is something you can use right now, right this second. If you're down in your luck, you can use this right this second. And it's a story from 100 years ago. And the story is, everybody was walking around and they were trying to find work. It was the Great Depression. Everybody was out of work. And they'd walk in and they'd be like, "Do you need any help? I'll do anything. I'm just looking to make a buck." And the answer was always no. Because on the business side of things, they were trying to scrape by themselves. So they didn't need any more help. But there was this one guy that came out and he said, "All right, well, what do businesses need right now in the Great Depression?" Businesses need more business. So he went out and he built a skill set out in a specific field. And he went out and he started talking to all the people in the field. He started talking to all the people that may need to use this service. And he said, "I'm going to learn as much as I can about this area. And then I'm going to go to a business and say, I'm looking for work. If I bring you business, if I bring you customers, can we split the profits?" Business is like, "Yeah, I need more business. Bring me more. The more business you bring me, the more I'm willing to pay you." And that's what he did. He added value. He created the cash. The money's always there. Even in the Great Depression, the money was there. It just had to be created. You have to start thinking differently. So how do we break out of our comfort zone? We break out of our comfort zone by doing simple things in the beginning. Our subconscious has built up over years and years and years these beliefs. We have to now transition those beliefs. We have to believe that we are worthy of money. We have to believe that we are a healthy person. I had a friend of mine, he's running the New York City Marathon. And I said to him, how did you start? Like, this is a big endeavor, running the marathon. And he said to me, I walked around my block. Like, what? That's the key to running the marathon? I said, no, I wasn't a healthy person. I never looked at myself as a healthy person. But I wanted to become a healthy person. So I said to myself, what are actions I have to take to become a healthy person? And one of those actions was I have to exercise. Well, how can I exercise? I would love to run, but I hate running. This is a guy that's running the New York City Marathon 5 years ago, hated running. He said, I thought about, okay, well, maybe I'll just start with walking. And he just walked around his block. A nice leisurely pace, just walked around the block. And eventually he built that up to where he was walking further. And then he was walking and running and walking and running and walking and running. And then he was jogging and then he was running. And now he's running the marathon. How great is that? Because he what I call slipped one past the goalie being the subconscious. Your subconscious is looking for things that don't make sense to itself. This doesn't make sense. I've never seen this before. I don't know how to react. So we're going to say no. That's why the news and politicians keep you in a constant state of chaos. Because a confused mind says no. So how do we dumb it down so that we can slip it past the subconscious and start changing our behaviors? We do that by making it so simple, the subconscious doesn't see a threat in it. That's how we do it. Want to be more healthy? Just pick up and drink 1 glass of water a day. Want to be more healthy? Just put your running shoes on. I didn't say go for a run. I said just put them on. Because now your subconscious doesn't think anything's wrong with that. We put shoes on all the time. So he's putting running shoes on. That's all right. He's not out running. He's not out killing me. He's not out saying he wants to run. He's just putting his running shoes on. And then the next day, you're like, well, I put my running shoes on. Let me walk down to the end of the driveway. Let me walk around the block. Let me jog around the block. Let me walk around 2 blocks now. And it's the ripple effect. Because we start changing our behaviors. And the way we get it past the subconscious is we make it so simple, it never raises a red flag for the subconscious. And that's how we start breaking out of our comfort zone. That's how I broke out of my comfort zone. I broke out of my comfort zone by reading 1 book on money. Then I said, all right, I'm just going to buy this 1 stock. Then I said, let me see how, what is the money game? How does money work? The Psychology of Money. Great book, by the way. Taking those small actions, changing those small behaviors first, rewrites the script that our subconscious pulls from. Now, all of a sudden, our subconscious says, oh, there's a show on about money, a documentary about money. Oh, look at this book about money. Look at this book about real estate. Because the subconscious isn't looking at it like, whoa, I don't know anything about that. Now the subconscious says, oh, I want to know more about that. I want to learn more about that. Let's go find out more about that. And we start showing up at events. We start going to meetups. We start talking to people. We start reaching out to people that are ahead of us on our journey. And we start asking them questions. And then we realize, I don't have anything to be worried about here. He did it. If he did it, I can do it. And now I start surrounding myself with people. Proximity is power. Proximity is the unfair advantage. Proximity shows you that it can be done. It demonstrates to your subconscious that it can be done. And now your subconscious isn't as worried about losing or failing. Failure is part of the process. You watch people fail. You watch them get up. They dust themselves off. They're resilient. That resiliency that they have now brushes off on you. This is how we break out of our comfort zone. By small little actions that sneak it past the subconscious. Sneak one past the goalie. So that the subconscious doesn't even realize what's going on. And in doing that, we slowly build momentum and we slowly start changing our behaviors. We start increasing that thermostat. We start increasing the temperature in the room. We start rising up to our new standard. And then the process starts all over again. We hit that new standard, and now that's our new comfort zone. You get to create your new comfort zone, and you get to create it right now in the present. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you with because this is really, really important. I said earlier, our past isn't indicative of our future. I'm going really deep here. My son says, when I do things like this with him, he's like, Dad, we're going worm deep. I'm like, worm deep? He's like, yeah, because worms just keep burrowing down. I'm like, that's right, we're burrowing down. We're going really deep on this comment right here. The past isn't indicative of the future. That's absolutely true. Just because I lost money in the stock market 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, doesn't mean that I'm going to lose money this time. I will lose money if I don't change anything. I have to change things. I have to identify what I wasn't doing properly back then. I have to learn and build out my skill set. But just because I lost money back then doesn't mean I'm going to lose money now. Just because I couldn't lose weight, just because I set a goal to lose weight and become a healthy person back then, and I failed at it, doesn't make me a failure. It just means I failed at something. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen again. It's going to repeat itself again. But the actions we take right now in this moment will affect our future. The actions we take right now in this moment, in the present moment, are indicative of our future. That's how we create our future. The best way to predict our future is to create our future. That's how we create the future, by taking very intentional steps right now. And we take those steps very small so that we can sneak it past the subconscious, and then it becomes, oh, this is just what we do every day. It becomes our new habit. And through that new habit, we start creating our new future. And then when we get to the future 6 months from now, and we look back, we're like, holy shit, how'd we get here? That's how it's done. That's how I've done it for the past few years. Real estate, building a team out, expanding my business, retiring from the fire department. All of it. What behaviors do I have to take right now so that I can create the future that I want? Guys, around here, we live up here in the numerator, not down in the denominator. Go out there today and be unstoppable and absolutely crush your day. It's a beautiful day here in the Northeast. I'm going to go out for my hike now. You guys have a wonderful day. I'm always, always blessed to be with you. Have a very blessed day.